to do a test right there and see how that
Okay.
goes.
For those of you joining us live, we're just testing the equipment one last time before we get started, so we'll be starting in just a moment.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Is that in the way for you, or
No, I don't think, I think it'll be fine, yeah.
you sure?
I don't really need to move around anywhere, this is fine, yeah.
Just trying to make it so you can move. I mean, I can move it up this way so you can get through here if you need to.
Actually, that's perfect. Another test of the audio? All right, so I think we're about ready to get started here. 2:45 at the middle school is dismissal time, so we got to wait till things settle down a little bit and get things started. So we are about ready to start. Thank you all for joining us, whether you're here in the middle school hub with us live or whether you are watching via the live stream. Thank you very much for joining us for the Intro to Meditation workshop today. This is one of the components of our Wellness Committee's October Wellness Focus. And so we hope that you walk away today with a high-level overview of meditation and some ways to incorporate it into your daily life. It's actually one of the tools that I think is the most beneficial for anyone to incorporate in their daily routine. So hopefully you find some ways through our practice today to do that. Before we actually get started today, I do want to give a couple of thank yous. Debbie Bieber's here from the high school with a handful of students. KJ Livingston's here. I know Carla McIntosh helped with getting the projector ready, and the folks here at the middle school hub letting us borrow their space and invade their territory for a little while. So thank you to all of you for allowing this to be possible. And the other thing I want to do, because we are starting this workshop at the end of the day, one of the things that can be difficult about meditation is getting into sort of the zone, if you will, when you're coming off of a day that's been hectic and crazy. Your mind is running 100 miles an hour. So we're just going to take a moment here at the very beginning to sort of center ourselves, breathe, relax a little bit, if you will. So wherever you are, whether you're standing, you can stand for this piece, or whether you're sitting, we're just going to take about 30 seconds to just sort of let go of the day. And so if you're seated, I would say maybe put your feet flat on the ground. If you're standing, obviously that's already the case, so that's fine too. But this is a little tool that I want to introduce to you as well. A lot of times I use this tool to start out a meditation, but it's also a really quick way to just let go of stress, relax a little bit, let go of your day. You can do it in your classroom, you could do it in the car, you can do it pretty much anywhere. No one's going to really know what you're doing. It's not like a meditative practice that you're going to be in for a period of time. You can take just a few seconds and just sort of recenter yourself. So what we're going to do is just take a couple of deep breaths. We're going to breathe in for a count of 4, pause for just a second, and then breathe out for a count of 3. And we're going to do that just a couple of times to sort of recenter ourselves. So let's give that a try. So breathe in, counting of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause for just a moment, and then exhale on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhaling for a count of 4. Pause at the top. Exhale for 3 count. 1 more time. Inhale 4 count. Pause, and then exhale 3 count. And you could do that a few more times if you needed. You can do that as often as you need just to kind of recenter yourself. Just sort of helps you let go a little bit, recenter, hopefully relax you a little bit so that you're in a state and a mindset where you're ready to receive whatever it is you're doing. In this case, it's a little information about meditation. So again, welcome. And I think we're going to be competing with the announcements too. So, all right. So here's what we're going to do in our time together today. We're going to take a few moments to talk about what is meditation, because I think there's a lot of misconception out there. People have an image in their mind of what meditation looks like, and they think if it isn't that, then it can't be meditation, and that's not true. There's a lot of variety out there when it comes to meditation. We'll talk about some of the common types of meditation and actually practice several of them today. We are going to talk very briefly about supplies and equipment because, again, I think there's a lot of assumptions and misconceptions about what you have to have in order to be doing meditation. And then we'll talk about postures, because there's a lot of ways you can sit to do meditation. Resources and apps, that way you can walk out of here with some places to go and some tools to use in that sense. And then The most important part is the sample meditation that we're going to do at the very end, a slightly lengthier meditation. We're going to do some samples throughout, but this will be a slightly lengthier version. All right, so that being said, let's get right into what is meditation. Meditation is many things to many people. I think if we asked everybody here to define it, we'd get 4 different, 5 different, 6 different answers easily. But what it basically is, if you come to the core of the definition, it is the progressive quieting of the mind. It has nothing to do with the position you're sitting in, your hand position, any words you're chanting or saying. It has nothing to do with your breathing technique. It's the gentle, progressive quieting of the mind. That's all meditation is. So that can be done in a lot of ways, and that's one of the first things I want to make sure everybody walks away understanding, is that meditation can be accomplished in a lot of ways. You can customize it for your own needs, your own liking, and hopefully by the time you leave here you have a sense of what it is that you enjoy doing and want to maybe perhaps pursue a little bit more in your own meditation practice. One of the things that, if you think about how your mind works on a regular basis, the conscious stream of thought that happens in your mind every single day, for many of us that is a pretty rapid fire stream of conscious. It's like one thought to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, almost like, the little hamster wheel just going, 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 and you think, can't this hamster take a break, for crying out loud? And it can be very overwhelming, very daunting, and very tiring. So one of the best benefits of meditation is that quieting of that mind, that calming of the mind, because just that stream of consciousness, that speed at which many of our minds works, can be very stressful and cause a lot of anxiety in our lives, just that alone. So whether we're focused on things that have happened in the past, whether we're looking at things that might happen in the future, the bottom line is we're very seldom here in the present. Our mind is always somewhere else. And so meditation aims to sort of bring us back to the present, and literally, as they describe it, you're coming back to that gap between the thoughts. Believe it or not, as fast as your thoughts are going in your mind, there's literally a gap or a pause between each thought. So as you have one thought, then there's a pause, and then another thought, and then a pause. Sometimes your thoughts are going so fast you don't realize there's a pause. It doesn't feel like there's a pause. But the purpose of meditation is to stretch out that pause or that gap. So instead of your mind going thought, pause, thought, pause, thought, pause, thought, pause, it should be thought, pause, thought, pause. And the more you practice meditation, that pause gets bigger and the period of thoughts gets smaller. That's the idea behind meditation. And it is a practice. I use that word intentionally when we talk about meditation, because think of it in terms of a musical instrument. You're not going to walk up to a violin, pick it up, and just start playing a complex piece of music if you've never touched a violin before in your life. You have to learn the basics, you have to practice, and work up to those more complex pieces of music. Meditation's the same way. You're not going to sit down for the first time and do a meditation and have a completely quiet mind with no thoughts. It just doesn't happen. And one of the things I hear with people that I work with meditation is, well, I tried it, it doesn't work, I can't meditate. Well, you're not going to sit down that first time and have a completely thoughtless mind. You're going to have to work up to that. It's practice. And so that's a second misconception I think that people have. A lot of folks think they can't meditate because they can't shut their brain off. It doesn't happen that fast. It takes time and takes practice. So that's something important for you to walk away with. I'll give you a story that they use in India to sort of help people understand how meditation works. They liken the mind to the elephant's trunk. If you know anything about an elephant's trunk, it's very unruly and it's all over the place. It likes to grab hold of things and it can knock things over. It's just all over the place because it has nothing to do and it's just kind of moving around. But if you're a wise elephant trainer, as the saying goes, you give that elephant's trunk a small bamboo stick to hold on to. And suddenly that trunk is calm and content because it has something to focus its attentions on. And you can literally walk it through a crowded marketplace and it's not going to knock things over. It's not going to try and steal fruit from the vendors. It's content with that bamboo stick. So meditation, in essence, is trying to help you find your bamboo stick for your mind, sort of how they describe it. And so when we look at the different types of meditation that are out there, you want to find the type of meditation that offers you the bamboo stick that works for your mind. Because the bamboo stick that's going to work for your mind might not be the same one that works for my mind. The several types that we'll talk about, I've tried many of them, and only one of them really works well for me. The other ones just, I don't feel the progression in the practice, whereas one style I do. And you may find that one style works best for you, and that's what it's all about with the practice. The benefits, if you look at the slide there, there's a little diagram that's talking about 10 of the benefits. There's actually over 1,000 scientific studies out there that talk about all the benefits, physical, mental, and emotional, that you can gain from meditation. And that's why I say it's one of the best tools that you can have in your daily practice, because there are so many benefits, these just being a few. All right, so lots of good reasons to do meditation. But how do you know which meditation to do? There are 4 main or 4 common types that we'll talk about very briefly, and we're actually going to practice the Zen style briefly when we get to the bottom of the slide. The primordial sound method is the style that we're going to use at the end with our last meditation practice. So we're going to practice a couple different styles today. And so the primordial sound is the model that we'll use at the end. And then, but at any rate, so primordial sound is the model that was created by Deepak Chopra, if you're familiar with him. He created this model, and the idea behind this is a silent mantra is your bamboo stick. If we go back to that bamboo stick story, that is the thing that you're going to latch onto to focus on as you're doing your meditation, to keep your mind trained and focused. Mindfulness-based stress reduction actually comes out of the medical field. John Kabat-Zinn, back in 1979, created this model for patients in medical hospitals and rehabilitation centers. And often you'll find this being practiced by, or taught rather, by doctors, nurses, social workers, psychologists, and they are teaching it to their patients as a way to help them let go of stress and anxiety, take away some of the focus on the pain that they might be experiencing. And so that particular method is focused on using breath and body scan. So that's the bamboo stick for that method. Not a style you're going to see if you go to a local wellness center or a meditation center, but rather if you go to medical institutes, particularly cancer centers and some of those specialty centers where they incorporate a holistic approach to wellness, you'll find this particular method. And then we have transcendental. Transcendental meditation was made popular by people like the Beatles, Katy Perry, Cameron Diaz. A lot of famous folks practice transcendental meditation. And what makes this particular type of meditation a little bit unique is the fact that you have a mantra, so that's similar to primordial sound. The difference is the mantra that's given to you by your teacher is specific to you. So it has a lot to do, there's actually a whole Vedic formula that they use. It has to do with your gender, your birth year, the birth year of your teacher, and a few other factors that they use to determine what your mantra is going to be. And then that's your personal mantra that you use in your meditation, and you're supposed to meditate 2 times a day. So a little bit different. And then last but not least is the Zen meditation. This is probably the one that I think many of us have an image of our mind of. This is often tied in with the Buddhist tradition. It is a seated meditation, quite literally. And it is focused entirely on the breath. So in this case, our bamboo stick is the breath. For beginners, what they often do, because the breath can be hard to stay focused on, is they teach you to count, like we did at the beginning, with your breath. Whether it's in 1, out 2, in 3, out 4, or whether it's in 1 and out, in 2 and out. Either way, you're counting as a beginner to stay focused on the breath. When you get a little bit more accomplished in the Zen meditation style, you can actually stop the counting and really just focus on the breath. So we're going to practice that real quick, just to give you a sense of what that's like. So again, for those of you that are seated, you want to stay seated with your feet flat on the ground. If you are, wherever you are standing, that's fine too, you can do the standing. But this time we're going to pay attention to our posture a little bit. We want to make sure our backs are straight, our feet are flat on the ground. And we're going to actually close our eyes this time, actually make it a true meditation. Not everyone closed their eyes the first time, and that's okay, but we're going to do it this time with our eyes closed. And all we're going to do is breathe and count, and just focus on the counting as you breathe. So we're going to inhale 1, exhale, mentally think the word number 2, inhale, think number 3, exhale 4, and we're going to keep going up to 10. Inhale 5, exhale 6, inhale 7, exhale 8, inhale 9, exhale 10, and we start all over again at 1. Inhale 1, exhale 2. Just keep going for a few moments on your own. If you find your mind wandering as you're counting and breathing, just acknowledge those thoughts and let them go and come back to 1. And because our time is short together, We'll complete the next cycle of inhale and exhalation. And then come back into the room and slowly open our eyes. So that's just a little taste of what Zen meditation is. Very, very simple, very, very basic. In the Buddhist tradition, that meditation practice that we just did is coupled with working with a teacher and the Buddhist teachings themselves. But to do Zen meditation, you don't have to have that Buddhist piece. That is, simply just a piece that's added if you're doing it with the Buddhist tradition. Zen meditation by itself is exactly as we just practiced it. So, a little taste of that. A couple of quick words on supplies and equipment. As you can tell from our practices today, you don't have to have supplies and equipment. You can sit in any old chair. It can be one of these comfy, colorful chairs here in the middle school hub. It can be your desk chair at work. It can be your kitchen chair at home. It can be on the floor. It can be in your car. It can be anywhere. You don't have to have fancy cushions or benches, although they do exist. So if you want to have a more intense or intensive meditative practice, you can certainly incorporate those things, but you don't have to. A lot of folks get hung up on the fact that, well, I don't have a cushion to meditate on. Pull your cushion off your couch in your living room, use that. It doesn't matter. You can use a pillow off your bed. It doesn't matter. Whatever makes you the most comfortable in your seated position. You can incorporate whatever you want. A lot of the stuff that's listed there on the right-hand side of the slide is stuff that adds sort of to the ambiance, maybe helps you get into the mindset and the mood of meditation, but it is not necessary for meditation to happen. Timers can be nice because if you're trying to extend your meditation, you want to make sure you're meditating for 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 30 minutes, you can time yourself to make sure you're staying seated that long. That lets you know it's time to stop. Or conversely, if you're short on time and want to make sure you don't get lost in that meditation for more than the 3 minutes you have available, you set the timer so you know to stop. That's fine, but again, not necessary. There's lots of meditation CDs, apps, music out there that you can use, again, to help you guide yourself through the process, set the mood, that sort of a thing, but again, not necessary. We talk about postures a lot in seated positions, and you can see from the image on the right-hand side, there's several different common seated postures, whether you're on the floor with your legs crossed in a couple of different ways, or whether you're sitting on your knees, on your legs. A lot of it's going to depend on what's comfortable for you. It may not matter if you're only meditating for 2 or 3 minutes, but if you're going to try and do a 10, 15, 20, 30-minute meditation, you want a comfortable seated position. I can do the top 3, but only if I'm meditating for 20 minutes or less. If I'm going for more than 20 minutes, I can't sit that way for that long. My legs start to fall asleep, and that sort of, breaks the mojo of the meditation when your legs start falling asleep. So, but the most important thing is, no matter what position you choose, is that you're sitting upright, because you need that ability to breathe. You want your breathing to be unobstructed and clear, and your eyes to be closed. They talk here in the image about semi-open eyes with your eyes sort of cast down at the floor at a 45-degree angle. What you don't want to do is be tightening your muscles in your eyes, forcing them closed, because then your focus is on those muscles being closed, and we don't want to do that. So just lightly, gently closed, and then breathing. Notice lying down is not up on the screen. And that is for the very simple fact that many times when you meditate lying down, what happens? You fall asleep, exactly. So those of you that are yoga practitioners, if you've ever taken a yoga class, one of the best parts of yoga class is at the very end when you get into savasana, the relaxation pose, and you do a little mini meditation, and that's fine because you're only there for a couple of minutes, but when you're actually meditating, you want a seated position, not a lying down position. Some resources, and I'm actually going to send this out via email so you guys have this and the next slide also with apps. A couple of really good resources if you want to learn more about some of the things that we talked about here today. The Chopra Center, which is where the primordial sound comes out of, that's a really good resource. They actually are going to be starting a 21-day meditation series here in I think it's the beginning of November it starts. It's a free series. You get a meditation in your email box, 20-minute meditation every day for 21 days, and then they usually throw a bonus one in on the 22nd day. So it's really actually 22 days. Really, really nicely done. So you can check that out and sign up for that. There's a lot of other videos and free resources there as well. TM.org, Transcendental Meditation's website. You can learn a lot more about them and also find local teachers if that's a method you're interested in learning about. As far as Zen meditation or any other type of meditation, Google and YouTube, just a general search will get you more than you ever wanted and then some, videos, links, articles, all kinds of great things to learn more about those things if it's of interest to you. We also have a lot of really great local yoga studios, wellness centers, and even some fitness centers that are now offering meditation in conjunction with yoga classes. So just another option if you want something more brick and mortar. And then, of course, since we live in the age of smartphones, we have apps for all of this. And I put a list of some of the more popular apps there. Headspace is a Zen-based meditation model. Ananda is the one that comes out of the Chopra Center, so that's the primordial sound method. Buddhify is another Zen meditation style. Calm is a nice one. It incorporates very nice music, if you want some music in the background to help you with your meditation. So lots of options. Best thing you can do is go online, search around. Many of them are free or have aspects of them that are free, so you can find something that works for you that's of interest. You can play with them, try them out, see what works, and then you can either have your meditation practice when you travel or even just to have something more guided for yourself when you're at home. So here's a couple of final thoughts before we get to the final meditation, okay? The things I want you to leave here with, the things I want to make sure that you're taking away understanding about meditation on the whole. There is no right or wrong way to do meditation. As we saw, there's a lot of different styles of meditation, and even within those styles, there's different ways for that to manifest. The important thing is that you just try different things out, see what works for you. Start small, work up to things, just like any other practice, and just find what works for you. Just play with it. If something doesn't work, try something else. There's lots of different things out there. All right, so let's do this. For this particular meditation, we're going to let you choose your seated position. So if you want to stay seated in the chair, that's fine. If you want to try a seated position on the floor, by all means, go ahead and do so. Again, the important thing is that our back is straight. All right. You might even want to roll your shoulders back. We've been sitting for a little bit here. Just kind of stretch out a little bit. We're going to close our eyes. Feet flat on the floor for those of you that are actually seated. Just get yourself situated. And we're going to start by doing a similar breath to what we did at the beginning, just to sort of get focused and centered. This time we're going to breathe in deeply for a count of 3, hold for 2 seconds, and then exhale for a count of 3. And we're going to do that a few times. So inhale, count of 3. Hold at the top for 2. And then release for a count of 3. And we're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, count of 3. Hold for 2. Release for 3. One last time. Inhale, 3. Hold. And then exhale, 3. And then we're going to let our breath go back to normal. We're not going to try and control it anymore. We're just going to let it flow naturally. And we're going to work our way from the top of our head down to our feet, releasing the tension in our body. A lot of times we don't realize how much tension we have in different spots till we focus our attention there. So we're going to start by focusing our attention at the top of your head. And just release any tension in the muscles at the top of your head. And then we're going to go down to your forehead and your eyes and your ears and release any tension that you're holding on to there. And then move down to your mouth and your chin and let go of any tension you're holding on to. Then we're going to come down to your shoulders and your neck, your arms and your fingers, and just let go of any tension that's there. Bring your focus to your abdomen. Let go of anything that's hanging out there. And then our legs and our feet. Just let it all drain out through the bottom of our feet and let go of all of it. We'll bring our awareness back to our breath. Again, letting it flow naturally, not controlling it. We're going to introduce a very simple 2-word mantra. 1 word for the inhale and 1 word for the exhale. And remember, our mantras are said internally, silently. So as you inhale, you're going to gently, mentally say the word peace. And then as you exhale, gently, mentally say the word release. Inhale, peace. Exhale, release. Peace, release. Not rushing your breath, just letting it flow naturally. Inhaling peace, exhaling release at your own pace. And when your mind wanders, because it will, you just let those thoughts go and come back to the inhale of the word peace and the exhale of the word release. peace, release, peace, release. I'm going to go quiet for a few moments. Just continue that peace on the inhale, release on the exhale, at your own pace. Now we want to let go of our mantra. Just go back to breathing naturally. We're going to slowly come back into awareness of our bodies in this place. And we're going to take a few more of those deep 2-count breaths. Breathing in for 2 counts and holding for a moment. And then releasing for 2 counts. One more time. Breathe in for 2, hold, and then release for 2. And go ahead and wiggle your fingers and toes and just sort of slowly start to come back. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. So hopefully you're feeling a little more relaxed now. We've done 3 sample meditation type tools. And so we always like to offer a Q&A session, but for those of you that are here, I will stick around to do that. Those of you that are watching from live stream, you can shoot me an email if you have any questions. Like I said, I'm going to send out the resources and the app, so you have those at your fingertips. And thank you again for coming, and hopefully you've learned a few things and you have a few things to take home with you in your toolbox for ways to incorporate meditation into your daily life. Thank you. You can take as much time as you need.